Hello, I'm Jim Campanini, the Wine Novice, and welcome to the Grapefully Yours Wine Podcast. I'm here today with my co-host, Mike Pigeon, aka the Wine Butler.
The Wine
How you
Butler.
doing, Mike?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
Now, this is a very special day in world history. Do you know why?
Absolutely, I do.
What is it?
It's your birthday.
No, it's my twin brother's birthday.
Oh, well, it's got to be. Yeah, but isn't he
Yes.
the older one? Isn't he a minute
Yes, he's
older or
my
something?
twin brother, John.
Yeah.
We're going to honor him this morning.
Absolutely.
Daisy Zuz's special
Yep.
champagne.
Daisy's, yep.
Okay, so we're going to have a toast to John Thomas Campanini, who was born May 16th, 1952, 1 minute ahead of yours truly.
Uh-huh.
You know?
And he's turned out to be one of the best vintners on the East
He's
Coast.
turned out want to be one of the best vintners.
Known for Zinfandels. Excellent quality.
8 vintages of Zinfandel.
Yep.
He buys the grapes from California.
Yep.
He makes it at the River Winery.
River Rock Winery, I think Winery, yeah.
down in West Greenwich, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
He's turned out 8 vintages. Everyone is better than the other.
Yeah,
If you go to my wine blog, thewinenovice.com, you can go through the archives and find a couple of stories and photos I've done of him pressing the juice and fermenting it and everything. So, John, when you watch this, which he will be, he watches all the shows. This is to you, my brother. Thank you for 71 years of wonderful brotherhood.
Great
You know, I
job.
tell all my friends I was never lonely as a child.
Never, not with him.
So here's to John T. Campanini Jr.
He'll say, why didn't you toast me with one of my Zinfandels? But
Yeah, thank you, Daisy Zuzas.
Daisy, taking a Daisy, too.
Champagne. Now, the other good thing is today is we traditionally do. We always play golf. We either take a golf trip or whatever, but we'll be playing golf today, my brother. And the best part is he's got to give me 3 strokes.
Oh,
Okay,
right. Yeah,
so
yeah.
he's a better golfer than me, But I'm a grinder.
Yeah, but you've got that new wedge you're going to put into play today, so we'll see.
Wedge.
We'll see.
And later, I think in June, we're going to have John on the show. He's going to come up and show us his latest vintage of Zinfandel. We're going to talk about the process, how he makes it, and we'll taste it.
It took him a couple of years, but he's got that down pat now.
Yeah?
It's a good wine. It's surprised me. The last 2 vintages, they're good.
Yeah, we got to come up with a label for him, a nice label,
Well, you can work that out with him.
Okay. Well, today's show, last week, Mike and I went to 2 incredible wine tastings in Boston at the City Winery. What a venue, huh?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful place. Very comfortable.
Right down from the TD Garden on Causeway Street, you take a right, go around. And City Winery is not only a beautiful bar, they teach wine classes there, but it's got a beautiful concert venue. We saw the room, went in there, beautiful stage. Seats about, 300 people?
It was over 200. I know that. I
200,
counted
yeah.
some tables. It
And
was over 200,
bars
300.
around the room, but beautiful tables set up. You can have light meals there. They make their own wine at the City Winery. I didn't realize there's a group of them across the country, Dallas, Los Angeles, New York. So you go in there, you can join the club, the City Winery Club, which gives you special discounts on the jazz and musical acts that go in there, all kinds, jazz, folk. If you go on their website, City Winery, check it out in Boston, you'll see all the artists that they've come in, really top notch too. So it was really interesting. But we've been there before. But this tasting, it was done by the Vino Nobile Di Montepulciano Consortium. Okay, and the thing is, Vino Nobile di Montepulciano. I know it's a mouthful, but it's one of Italy's most prestigious wines. Now, Montepulciano is a place. It's a medieval hilltop town with a lot of ancient history. It's located in the province of Siena, which is beautiful.
Below Florence,
Okay.
yeah.
And to the east of Montalcino in Tuscany. That's where Brunello di Montalcino comes from, a great Sangiovese wine. Vino Nobile di Montepulciano is also a Sangiovese wine. So you might be saying, well, gee, what's the difference? Chianti's a Sangiovese based wine. Well, in Italy, the land, okay, takes precedent, right? It gives it its distinctive taste, smell, aromatics, the soils, the mesoclimate, because you could be 1 mile, 2 miles away from a different vineyard and they get totally different weather because of the hills. These hills are kind of high in Montepulciano. They go from 300 meters, which is like 900 feet. They could go all the way to 1,500 meters. And it's basically sandy, limestone, fossilized soils. This was underwater during ancient times, so it leaves a little the seashells in there. But the clone of Sangiovese that grows there it was first mentioned way back with the Etruscans, and it's just a fabulous wine made in a little different style, elegant style. Would you say that? Mm-hmm. What'd you think about those wines we tasted?
Very impressive. We had 11 glasses ahead of us, and they were all Sangioveses, but each one tasted distinctively a little different than the other. But there was not one that you could possibly not like, because they were all Sangioveses, great wines.
Yeah,
great wines.
Now, there were there are actually 4 levels of quality classifications on the Italian wine scale. There's the table wines down the bottom, the IGTs, which don't let that mislead you. Sassicaia is an IGT wine. Okay, so the great IGT wines that don't want any restrictions, and these winemakers make them in this broad section. But that's the second tier. Then the third tier is the DOC level, then the DOCG top level for quality, which means these wines are made under more restrictive conditions. They have to be checked by a panel to make sure that the wines produced reflect the same taste and characteristics as the year before. They don't want wines that are going all over the place so people can't sense where they're from when they taste them. So the Montepulciano, Vino Nobile di Montepulciano appellation got their DOCG recognition in 1980, and they basically got it based on their historic traditions. Why they say Vino Nobile, in wine of nobility. It picked up that title during the 14th, 15th, 16th centuries. This was the wine used by popes, noblemen, politicians, rulers, not only in Italy, but throughout Europe. It was a top export. It dove a bit and declined when Chianti Classico became the rave in the late 19th century, early 20th century. But then it made a comeback in the 21st century when new wine producers came in and investments and modernizing the equipment. They realized they wanted to restore the integrity and character of Vino Nobile. They went from 12 total producers to over 200 today, and they turn out about 7 million bottles a year. But it's an exquisite wine.
Didn't they get sidetracked a little bit too with Super Tuscans, and then they went back to the purity of just the Sangiovese grape?
Yes, you can, under the guidelines, most of the wines we tasted at the wine tasting were 100% Sangiovese, but they can use 15% in the blend of other local authorized grapes.
Caniolo,
yeah. Colorino, Memolo, and they also use one international grape, Merlot, okay, which softens it a bit. Actually had some nice flavors and stuff. So 85% of the DOCG bottlings contain 85% Sangiovese DOCG bottlings. but most of the producers now are putting 90% or more Sangiovese.
They can do so much with that one grape. The Sangiovese alone is tremendous, but then you have your Chiantis and Brunellos, all with the same grape, with those little additions of the other grapes, and they're fabulous. As long as you see a bottle with Sangiovese as a base, you're doing good.
Yeah. So why don't you explain? This bottle is one of your favorites.
Yep.
Talk a little about this bottle. It's one of mine too. Mike originally, you've been drinking this for 3 or 4 years, right?
I have. Yeah,
This is 2017,
Yeah.
and it's from Campanini, which is one of the top producers of Italian wines.
Yeah, it's very smooth. I don't know if they have a little extra something in it besides the Sangiovese on the back of the top of the label there, but it's just not too fruity like a Chianti. It's just so smooth and nice. It's $37, I think, retail or something, but well worth it. It's just a good wine.
So this one is 90% Sangiovese and 10% Caniolo.
Yeah.
Now the other thing, there's been a little the thing that spurs innovation is when you get pioneering winemakers. And so there's what's going on right now in Montepulciano, the traditionalists with the modernists. The traditionalists want to use that. They want to ferment this in steel, and they make it somewhat Bordeaux style. Under the standards, it has to be aged. Montepulciano has to be aged for 24 months. Okay, soften it up, and 12 of those months have to be in wood, in oak. Now the question comes down: what kind of oak? New oak. If you put it in new French oak, it just adds that vanilla flavor, that caramel flavor. Yeah, it softens the tannins, but if it's not done with balance, it takes away all the fruit taste. You don't get that pure cherry, sour, sweet cherry, the licorice, the violets. Vino Nobile Di Montepulciano is known for its violets. The aroma is in the sense of that, even licorice. So that's the struggle that's going on right now, because some winemakers who export a lot, they prefer to, as I call it, Americanize their wines. They want to make it like a Cabernet from Napa Valley, and others want the pure expression of that terroir, that beautiful landscape, and it's basically been preserved the way it was during ancient times. I mean, the medieval town of Montepulciano. If you look at pictures of it, stone buildings and houses and beautiful yards and hills and stuff. So what's happening now is that these producers are coming to a pretty good compromise. The wines that we tasted were not overwhelmingly oaked. They had nice style and balance. Even the ones where you could taste that oaky character, boy, were they appealing.
Every one of the 11 were.
Yes.
Every one.
Yes. And it was tough to pick your favorite, whether it was the $22 bottle, okay, or the real high-end $65 bottle, which I found just spectacular. And you can read about that on my wine blog. If you go to thewinenovice.com, that I've been writing that column for a week now, because I was just so intrigued by these wines. I've been doing extra research, looking into the vineyard operations, who the winemakers are. So I should have that wine column done. I sent it to our producer, Teddy Panos, at InsideLowell.com. It should be posted by Thursday, hopefully, because you can read about these. I have the prices, the alcohol content, who makes them, and how they are made. So, there's a wine for every palate, whether you like that lean and mean Vino Montepulciano, or the little, as I call it, the palate refresher. With, but some of them have these long, lingering, lush tastes. Is that what you basically saw too?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, so I just want to add another thing. Now, the other thing is, like I said, it's when you look at the bottle, it says Vino Nobile di Montepulciano, Noble Wine of Montepulciano, which is a place. Okay. Vino Nobile di Montepulciano is not a grape. It's the name of a wine. This is not to be confused with Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, which comes from the province of Abruzzo in central Italy. Okay, on the Adriatic side, because I've made that mistake. I picked up this bottle without looking at it closely. I saw Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, which is also a spectacular wine, which I like. So you got to read the labels. Vino Nobile di Montepulciano, because Montepulciano d'Abruzzo is a great variety, okay? And it's from the province of Abruzzo, whereas Vino Nobile di Montepulciano is a Sangiovese-based grape from Tuscany. Okay, totally different. You're going to get beautiful, exquisite wines, but this Vino Nobile, you know what? It's one of Italy's most prestigious wines, one of the best. So, matter of fact, in doing my research, I saw that of all the wines from Italy that Thomas Jefferson tasted, as you know, President Jefferson, our third president, he was a big wine collector. Okay.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. And he called Vino Nobile di Montepulciano his best. So, well, his favorite Tuscan wine. He loved Bordeaux wines too, but he called it his favorite. So anything more do you want to add about that on Montepulciano?
No, you said it.
Okay.
Quite.
If you go to our if you look up my column later, you'll see some of the wines, and I give you a great selection because these wines were selected by Antonio Galloni, who is the owner and lead wine critic for Venus Media. Vinous. You see in my articles that I write. Usually, I cite them in a lot of things for the background that they do. But Antonio Galloni used to work for Robert Parker. He took over Venus Media several years ago. He's a top wine critic. Very nice. He lives in New York. He led the discussion on the wines, so it was a very good show. And we learned a lot. We learned a lot, but the wine was exquisite. And then we went to
The Greek wine tasting.
where did we go after the wine tasting?
Oh, we went over to Massaminos, and we had a delicious meal over there. And thank you for ordering that good bottle of wine.
Yeah, and what did we have? The Polizzani, right? Poliziani Vino Nobile di Montepulciano, which was the entry level.
But still so good.
It was excellent, and I had a nice bowl of the cacio di pepe with the pasta fagioli. Everything was exquisite. What did you eat?
I think we started off with the stuffed clams, which were big ones, and then the veal saltimbocca. I had that.
Yes, and it was such a beautiful day.
Oh, the sun coming in the open windows.
Open doorway. We sat right at the edge of the doorway there. It was a fantastic day. And boy, we stumbled back to the North Station, got on the train, and slept all the way home.
No,
it was a beautiful
bad.
day. Now, just to give you a little update, we'll be talking about a little of it next week. We also went last week to a tasting of Greek wines from the island of Santorini, one of the most beautiful islands in the world. Were you impressed with those wines?
I was impressed with a few of them. Yeah, haven't had too many Greek wines to be truthful, but they had a few different ones, and some we liked. 3 wines I think we really liked a lot.
Yeah. The Santorini is known for its white wines, dry white wines made from the Aceterco grape. Did I pronounce that correctly? And you've got a couple of bottles, right, Teddy, at the Athenian corner? Yeah. what an exquisite wine. I mean, this is why wine is so great, to be an explorer and try different things with different foods. I mean, yeah, Chardonnay is a great grape, but you can only drink so. I can only drink so much Chardonnay, and I don't drink it for weeks because it's that same taste and stuff. The beauty of whether it's Italian, French whites, Burgundy, or Greek wines, I mean, they knock your socks off with their taste. And this island of Santorini was created by a volcano
Yes.
in 16 BC. And that's not before Campanini. That was
No,
before
before
Christ.
Christ.
Yeah.
Saint that
So,
was.
yeah, and when you look at the caldera, they call the big hole where the
Yeah.
water is now. The island is almost like it's shaped like a big horseshoe.
Like a horseshoe. And if I understood him right, 1,000,000 bottles of wine come off that island a year.
Yeah, which when you think about it, isn't really much. Okay.
It's a
Yeah,
small,
but it's a small island.
yeah,
Yes. But
it's all vineyard.
the wines are there. When you taste these wines, these Greek wines, I mean, you can feel the eruption from the volcano almost. I mean, they're mineral. They get that chalky limestone. You're not going to get that from other places in the world. You do get it in Bordeaux because the limestone, the Cameridian Ridge comes right through Champagne, and that's what gives Champagne its great taste. But these wines all had that beautiful minerality, and they ended nice and dry and long, but lemony. Some had grapefruit taste flavors. It was good. But we'll talk about those when I get a couple of bottles from Teddy, and we're going to talk about them next week. So, in the last announcement I have is that we've been able to talk to my wine instructor when I went for my Italian certification at the Wine Scholar Guild, Joanne Ross. I consider her my mentor. She's still teaching wine classes for the Commonwealth Wine School now. She is willing to come to Lowell and be one of our guests in June. So we're trying to set that date. It'll probably be early in June. You're going to love her, hearing from her. She used to be a speech pathologist, one of the best in the state, when she found her passion for wine and started going to school, traveling the world. She's got all kinds of certification, a wonderful, wonderful teacher. And we're going to have her on the show. And you might consider taking a class with her.
She's quite an authority.
Yeah, she is. She is. So why don't you wrap it up for our huge audience out there?
Happy birthday to you and your brother.
Listen.
Salute.
May the wine be with you.
Cheers.